I should have known that afternoon was going to be unforgettable the moment Mia smirked at me across the cafe table. There was a glint in her eyes, the kind that made you instantly suspicious. "I dare you," she said, leaning forward, voice low but teasing, "to become my doll, for a full day." I choked on my drink. "Your doll?" She nodded as if it were the most natural thing in the world. "Everything, your clothes, your hair, your voice. You'll follow all my rules. And no whining." A laugh bubbled up, but it felt nervous, almost brittle. "That's impossible," I muttered, trying to sound casual. But deep down my stomach had already flipped. Something about the way she said it made me suspect she wasn't joking. Before I could protest, she was up, dragging me toward her bedroom. "Come on, no backing out," she said. Her energy was infectious and terrifying. The room was a shrine to all things cute and delicate. Pastel dresses hung on tiny hangers, ribbons and hair clips scattered across the desk, makeup brushes gleaming like weapons of transformation. I froze, my pulse racing. "Mia, seriously?" But it was too late. She had me sitting on the floor, stripping me of my casual clothes and replacing them with layers of frills, lace and pastel fabrics. The skirt felt foreign against my thighs. The blouse clung to my shoulders. My fingers trembled as I adjusted it, trying not to touch the delicate material too roughly. Then came the hair. Mia's fingers worked swiftly, curling, pinning and teasing every strand. My reflection began to morph. Softened features, sparkling eyes, a face I barely recognized. I didn't feel like myself. I felt fragile, exposed, like a porcelain figure waiting to shatter. "Perfect," Mia said, clapping her hands. "You're ready. Now, act like it." I stumbled to my feet, every movement exaggerated, every step careful. The shoes pinched, the skirt swayed unnaturally, and I could hardly believe the reflections staring back at me. This wasn't me. This was a doll, someone else entirely, trapped inside my body. Panic clawed at my chest. My mind raced. How am I going to face the world like this? How could she do this to me? And yet, beneath the fear, a small spark of curiosity flickered. I didn't understand it. I shouldn't like this. I shouldn't enjoy the strange way the dress felt against my skin, the way the curls framed my face, the way my reflection looked soft and delicate. But I couldn't look away. I was trapped. And the dare had only just begun. The next morning, reality hit me like a wave. Mia had insisted I leave her house fully dressed, fully dollified as part of the dare. And suddenly the world outside her bedroom felt enormous, glaring and terrifying. The street was alive with neighbors, joggers and delivery people, and all of them seemed to notice me. Whispers followed me like shadows, eyes flicking toward the pastel dress, the frilly socks, the shiny shoes. I felt exposed, vulnerable, every movement exaggerated by the soft swish of the skirt. Even stepping onto the sidewalk was a challenge. Every step required precision, balance, awareness of posture. The shoes pinched. The skirt clung. And my reflection in shop windows, passing cars, even puddles, reminded me constantly that I wasn't me anymore. I was a spectacle. School was even worse. The hallways were crowded with classmates, all staring, some pointing, some smirking. Is that really him? Well, I didn't think he'd actually do it. Every whisper stabbed at my confidence. I tried to keep my head down, but the dress refused to let me disappear. Every swish of the fabric, every sway of my steps drew attention. Even my friends weren't sure whether to laugh, tease, or give me sympathetic glances. During class, I fidgeted constantly. Sitting at a desk, the skirt brushing my knees, trying to cross my legs gracefully. It was exhausting. Raising my hand to answer a question felt like performing on stage. My voice, softer than usual, felt foreign in my own mouth. Every sentence I spoke carried a tremor of self-consciousness I could hardly hide. Lunchtime was worse. Navigating the cafeteria, holding my tray, dodging stares. It was like moving through a gauntlet. A group of kids whispered, giggling as I passed. "Look at him, she wow." My cheeks burned, heat spreading from my face to my ears. Even the teachers noticed. Miss Harper gave me a sidelong glance and an almost imperceptible smirk. She didn't say a word, but I could feel her eyes assessing me, judging me, watching how I handled being on display. By the end of the day I was drained, not just physically but emotionally. Every glance, every whisper, every reflection in a window or mirror had chipped away at my usual confidence. I wanted to collapse, to tear off the clothes, to hide. Yet strangely there was something else. Every so often when I caught a glimpse of myself in a reflective surface, a different feeling rose beneath the panic. Curiosity, even fascination. The way the dress moved, the soft curls framing my face, the delicate shimmer of lip gloss. It was unsettling but also captivating. By the time I trudged home, exhausted and humiliated, I realized the dare was no longer just about embarrassment. It was pushing me toward something unfamiliar. A confrontation with a version of myself I had never known. And somewhere deep inside I couldn't help but wonder, what would it feel like to explore this side of me? That night, after Mia had left me alone in her room, the apartment felt like a different world. The pastel dresses, the ribbons, the little shoes, all of it looked less like a punishment now and more like an invitation. I sank onto the bed, my heart still racing from the day, and looked at the reflection in the mirror across the room. It was terrifying at first. My own face, softened by the curls, highlighted by the blush, framed in a way I had never seen before. It didn't feel like me. And yet, something about it pulled me in. Slowly, hesitantly, I adjusted the dress, letting my fingers brush along the frills. The fabric was softer than I had imagined, gentle against my skin. I shivered. Curiosity overtook fear. I moved toward the mirror, examining every detail. The subtle shimmer of lip gloss, the way the curls bounced when I tilted my head, the delicate outline of my frame. For the first time that week I dared to smile. Not nervously, not embarrassedly, but softly, tentatively. Then came experimentation. I shifted my weight, trying out the way a doll, or maybe a person pretending to be a doll, might move. My hips swayed, my shoulders tilted just so. I whispered phrases to myself, softening my voice, letting it rise and fall with a new rhythm. Each word felt foreign, but each repetition made it feel more natural, more mine. I even began testing my gestures. A tilt of the head, a playful blink, the delicate way my fingers brushed my hair. At first, every movement felt stiff, like a puppet learning to move its limbs. But the longer I practiced, the more fluid it became. I caught myself twirling in front of the mirror, watching the skirt flare, the curls bounce, and feeling an unexpected thrill. It wasn't just about clothes or makeup anymore. It was about inhabiting a persona, exploring a side of myself that had been hidden, dormant, or ignored. I realized that the fear and embarrassment I had felt earlier were slowly giving way to curiosity, excitement, and even a strange form of empowerment. I sat cross-legged on the floor, brushing a curl behind my ear, and whispered to the reflection, "Who are you, really?" The answer was unclear, but the act of asking it made me feel alive in a way I hadn't before. I experimented more, posing, adjusting my posture, softening my voice, testing how it felt to laugh in this delicate, doll-like way. Each new movement, each new sound, revealed something unfamiliar but fascinating. By the time I finally crawled into bed, I felt transformed. Not fully, not completely, but enough to realize that the dare had forced me into a confrontation with myself. I had faced fear, awkwardness, and judgment. I had navigated embarrassment and scrutiny. And now, in private, I had discovered curiosity, playfulness, and an unfamiliar sense of confidence. For the first time, being Mia's doll didn't feel like a punishment. Felt like an invitation to explore a new side of who I could be. And the thought made my heart race in a way that was both thrilling and terrifying. The final day of the dare arrived, and my nerves were frayed. Mia had invited a few friends over to witness the doll in action, and suddenly the walls of her room felt like a stage, the audience waiting for my performance. My heart pounded so loudly I was sure they could hear it. I stared at my reflection one last time before stepping out of the bedroom. The pastel dress clung softly to my frame, the curls framed my face perfectly, and the faint shimmer of lip gloss on my lips caught the light just right. I felt different. Exposed, yes, but also undeniably present. I had spent the last 3 days moving, speaking, and thinking in this persona, and a strange confidence had begun to grow. Mia's friends were scattered around the living room, drinks in hand, eyes wide. A hush fell over the room as I stepped in. Every whisper, every glance, every soft gasp seemed amplified in my ears. My palms were sweaty, my stomach twisted, but I took a deep breath and lifted my chin. Then I moved. Slowly at first, swaying delicately with each step, testing the space like it was my stage. My voice, soft and measured, greeted them. "Hi. Thanks for coming." The words sounded foreign yet familiar, and I could see the surprise in their eyes. They hadn't expected me to carry it with such poise. Mia clapped her hands, eyes sparkling. Perfect. My doll has never looked better. I laughed softly, a light, melodic sound, and something inside me shifted. I wasn't just performing for them, I was finally owning this side of myself. Each movement, each gesture, each glance in their direction was deliberate, confident, playful. I could feel their admiration, their curiosity, and even their awe. Questions, small games, and dares followed throughout the evening. They asked me to pose, to speak in character, to move like a doll would. And I did. Not awkwardly. Not hesitantly. But with a grace and assurance I hadn't known I could summon. The thrill of embarrassment and scrutiny I had felt earlier had transformed. It became a form of empowerment. I was no longer trapped in Mia's game. I was participating, exploring, commanding attention. Every twirl, every delicate step, every flutter of my lashes told a story. I could be playful, fragile, captivating, and confident all at once. By the end of the evening, the dare was over. Mia smiled at me almost proudly. You did it. You survived. And you didn't just survive, you shined. I looked at my reflection one final time that night. The dress, the curls, the soft shimmer of makeup, all of it had changed me. Not just outwardly but inwardly. I had faced embarrassment, judgment, and scrutiny, and emerged with something stronger. A new confidence, a playful curiosity, and a willingness to explore facets of myself I had never considered. The dare, which had begun as a joke, had become a journey. A journey into discovery, into self-awareness, into empowerment. And as I whispered to the mirror, maybe, being a doll isn't so bad after all, I knew I had grown in ways I never imagined. I wasn't just Mia's doll. I was me, confident, curious, and unafraid.